Hey everyone, I am MG Woven and welcome to the first episode of the podcast that I'm attempting to start. I don't know how long this is gonna go, but it's a podcast and we're calling it Woven's World. It's essentially gonna be little multilingual me's way of I'm just talking about anything and everything at the same time. I've always wanted to start a podcast. And I mean, look at this. I got this mic, which is a condenser Sennheiser mic. Mainly because, I don't have a condenser mic yet, but also mainly because, podcasts. It's cool, holding it like this, it feels so cool. There's just a weird, coolness about it. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. First episode of a podcast. I guess I should talk about starting, about beginnings. I think it feels quite fitting. Honestly, I've been planning to start this podcast for a very, very long time. I was talking to a bunch of my friends since high school. I was telling them, yo, let's go start a podcast together. That's gonna be so dope. It's gonna be so fun. But I don't know, I guess none of them were as interested in podcasting as I was. And for the longest time, I felt I don't think people would want to listen to me this on my own and ramble. And it's just much more fun to be talking with other people, in the room, rather than just me talking on and on and on again. But you know what? I guess that's what's fun about podcasting. You just talk, and that's about it. And I hope it's comforting for you. I mean, it's definitely comforting for me because I am socially awkward. So I have friends, not a lot, that I am close to, and they're all always so busy. Because if none of you don't know yet, I currently go to CalArts, which is art school. And most of my friends are animation kids. And if you're CalArts kids, actually no, just by logic alone, animation kids are busy. Last semester, it feels like every other week they're going out to some new expo for animation, and they're always up really, really late. So essentially, they're the busiest people I know. So the only times I get to hang out with them is on the weekends. And even if I do hang out with them in the weekends, it's always for learning purposes. They animate, I produce. I mean, which is it's pretty fun, but it's not exactly your typical hangout. What were we talking about again? I forgot. But anyways, yeah. So I think this podcast is just a way for me to talk my heart out and just have fun, have a little time to myself, and just chat or whatever. So on my phone that I'm recording this on, it's 70%. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but hopefully long enough where I could be woo, podcast done. But yes, so that's one of the main reasons why. The other reason is the reason I called it a multilingual podcast, even though I'm speaking in full English right now, is there are not a lot of Indonesians here, which is honestly not the most surprising thing. It's just that I miss speaking Indonesian. I only get to speak Indonesian when I'm with the only other Indonesian person that I know here, Stella. And by the way, side note, there's supposed to be one other Indonesian person on campus. Rumors say he's a pretty good-looking guy. It's a rumor. Both me and Stella don't know who this guy is. We just heard around. I'm assuming he's probably a senior, because if he was in our year, because we're in the same year, we would have met him during orientation. We didn't, so I assume that he's probably a second year, third year, fourth year. I don't know what year he's in, but he's supposed to be quite a good-looking guy. So I'm kind of curious. I low-key, the other day, I opened up Canva and was I'm going to find this guy. I'm going to put up posters looking for a cute Indonesian guy on campus. But anyway, honestly, yeah, the point is, I miss speaking Indonesian a lot. And just last week, because I'm going to church with Stella every Sunday, we were so happy because we haven't been talking Indonesian for a long time, and we told each other like, oh my god, we were so scared we would forget how to speak Indonesian, and we were panicking because we forgot how to order food in Indonesia. And we're like, how do we order again? And honestly, it's weird. It's like a different culture. That's another reason why I like to start this podcast. And honestly, the one that made me like, I gotta start one is during my first semester here. Because again, I have social anxiety, so I don't really go out much, and that means it's harder. It's definitely really really hard for me to make friends. At least like friends that I would talk to in a daily basis, friends that I would actually hang out with in the weekends. Because it's not but I'm not saying that I don't have friends. I do have friends, but it's more like I don't have close friends that I hang out with consistently. It's more of like classmates more than we're gonna go party on Saturday at this time. Let's go hang out. Not that kind of friends. So yeah, and I was pretty bad for me, at least, because it's a new country. The weather especially is so different. I don't know a lot of people, and I wasn't close with anyone yet. And I did have family here, but they're like so far away, so I can't meet them consistently. And honestly, even if I met them during Thanksgiving, which was like, I was really happy during Thanksgiving because it's been a long time since I had proper, social interaction. So being able to meet my cousins and just be, talk to them in Indonesia and just having fun, I was so happy. But it was so weird because once I got home, it made me even more sad. It was like the first time that I actually genuinely cried. But that's besides the point. And basically, when I'm sorry, I'm stumbling my words, but it took, what's the word? So basically, I was feeling really low and this not that good. And the only thing that kept me going, not the only thing, but like one of the things that made me happy and made me look forward to things was this one Indonesian podcast called Rapot. It's funny. I love them so much. They're so funny. They make me laugh. And I guess just listening to people speak Indonesian, even though I can't speak Indonesian here myself, made me feel happy and it reminded me of like, oh, I just gotta hang in there. I'm gonna be home soon. And it's gonna get bearable. And it did get bearable because now I have friends I trust, friends I hang out with, and it's fun. It's nice here, actually. Once you find the right people to hang out and have fun with, it's amazing. So those are like the main reasons why I wanted to start this podcast. And the plan, I plan with big quotation marks because I am struggling with being consistent. Like, I've been trying to post on Instagram more often. It's kind of working. I tried doing every day. Spoiler alert, it's stressful to post every day. So then I was like, okay, just 3 days of the week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I do it once a week now, which I think it's pretty good. Not bad. I actually haven't posted this week. I should post something this week. But I'm getting there slowly but surely. I just want to commit on being a more consistent content creator, especially because like now I'm in school, like I'm studying music. I need to promote my stuff more consistently. So I just need to be more consistent. So the plan for this podcast is once every 2 weeks. Hopefully podcasting will be much easier because it should supposedly not take as much energy as like editing videos and making full YouTube videos. I just need to listen over the 1 hour recording and then post it up on YouTube. And maybe make it like tiny little shorts. I guess if I'm gonna make tiny little shorts of this podcast, that would technically count to the once a week content. So that kind of works out as well because I've got content idea for that already. So that's the plan. Other plans, much more like future plans, or like I hope I could get there one day, is I hope I could use this podcast as a way to not only promote my work but promote other artists' work, because they need a platform. It's not like platforms don't exist, but it makes me feel happy to know that my friends could come to me and use whatever audience I have here one day to promote their music. Not just music, I just promote art, because I got a lot of animation kids, and let me tell you, they are talented, but it's hard, it's hard being an artist, because not only are you thinking about your craft, but you also need to think about how am I supposed to monetize this in a way that I can live. And it's also hard because a lot of times people don't understand that the things we do isn't as easy as it seems. Like the other day I was talking with, it was actually not the other day, it was like almost like last semester, but I was talking with my roommate about producing, because she had this one work with this one filmmaker, and this filmmaker was giving her deadlines that was unreasonable. It was like too close of a deadline, and I guess a lot of people don't understand that writing and producing music is not something that is quick. It takes a lot of time to think about the right, especially if you're not writing for yourself, because writing for yourself is, you get a lot of freedom in that. Like, you don't really have a deadline anyway. But if you're writing for film, for people, you need to make sure that the instrumentation, the melodies, and everything suit well with the film itself. And sometimes some filmmakers would want specific little like ornaments. I don't know what it's called, but just like little, little spice, a little bit like spice in it. That's very specific, but it takes time for you to think about it. Where, like, for instance, I actually just finished this project. I worked with my filmmaker friend, and I made the background sound for one of his films. It's really short. It was like a two minute-ish composition. It was really fun. I would say I didn't use a lot of instrumentation, but just because I'm not using a lot of instrumentation doesn't make it easy. That's because I need to think about how it fits into his narrative. Is the mood what he wants? Is the length right? Because, like, when it comes to like film, sometimes music cues need to fit in with the scene, and it's something that it might not pass, like, you might not think about it at first, but it makes sense. Like, when a pin drops, the music stops, or when the main character dies, the mood changes. Like, like little stuff like that you don't really think a lot about, but you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And it takes a lot of energy to change instrumentation and arranging things in that way. But yeah, so I'd like to use the space, hopefully one day, to promote other people's work as well as myself. And I guess that's about it about the introduction about the podcast. Honestly, I came into this a little bit unprepared, because I just woke up this morning and I'm like, I'm gonna finish my class. I got a lot of time until it's gonna be nighttime, and I got the room to myself because my roommate is going home today. So let's just record a podcast. And I'm 15 minutes in and I'm already out of words on what to say. I guess I can talk about how I got into music school, because it might be nothing's important, but I understand that a lot of people out there may not have the luxury to go to art school like I do, and it's a gift being able to become a musician and an artist, and having parents who support me. But it doesn't mean that it's easy, because when I started making music, I had to prove to my parents that this was really it. Especially as a kid, I was not a person who's good with commitment. I would change hobbies every other week. It's terrible. It's genuinely terrible. But so when I told my parents that, oh, I'm gonna be a musician, I'm gonna make music for a living, I'm gonna produce, they're like, are you sure? Like you said literally just last week that you wanted to become an interior designer. And now you want to be a musician. That's a fact, by the way. I before I wanted to become a musician, at some point I was like interior design, and I was suggested product design as well, just because I was good at drawing. And by the way, I am not that good at drawing. At least I'm not. I can say this because I've seen the character animation kids. I'm not at that level. And I'm not saying that it's bad. Like, I'm not saying my art is bad. It's just that I don't have the patience and the passion to be like, I'm gonna animate, I'm gonna design, I'm gonna draw for the rest of my life. That's just not, I'm not feeling that. And at some point I was like architect, but I'm bad at math and physics. So that's probably gonna be such a hazard for me to be an architect or like some kind of engineer. So it's like, yeah, that's probably for the safety of society. I should probably not do that. So I was like really confused for the longest time ever. And it was so weird because I've always been such a music person. But it just never occurred to me that music wasn't just a hobby. Because I've been playing the piano since I was a kid. I don't know how old. How old did I start? I think it's probably like 7-ish. But I was like always on and off with piano. Again, because like I switch hobbies every other week. So I started piano when I was younger. I was actually pretty consistent throughout elementary. Then I got really busy in mid in no, actually in middle school. I was like mid school. Mid school doesn't sound like a word. No, middle school. So I stopped taking lessons during about, I think it's like late elementary to middle school. But then I picked it back up around high school because that's when I was like, I'm gonna do music, and if I'm gonna do music, I gotta know at the very least how to play the piano in a decent manner. And honestly, I'm not the worst, but I'm not exactly the best. I still have struggles with reading sheet music. I still hate reading sheet music, but because I have theory classes almost every day actually. The only day I don't have theory classes on Wednesday this semester. So I'm dealing with sheet music quite a lot. So I've been improving slowly but surely with my reading. So hopefully I'll get there. But yeah, I had to prove to my parents that I wanted to do music. And honestly, what frustrates me the most is a lot of people tell me like, you're so lucky. You're lucky that your parents are so supportive. And they are supportive, but it doesn't mean that it's easy. Because I had to work after school. I didn't have a production teacher until I had a production mentor for, oh god, how many years? Or I forgot. I think it was I think it should be 3 or 2 years, because I remember I met him in around 2020 or 2021. But I started writing when I was, oh my god, numbers. Okay, so I met my production mentor at around 2020. And 2020, I was after GarageBand, I was like, I'm gonna start learning Logic, because that's what the industry uses, or like some of the industry uses. So I got Logic for my birthday, because I was like, I don't want the pretty little toys. I want Daddy. I want Logic. Papa, buy me Logic. I am aware that I'm privileged, so I'm thankful that I get that that I could get Logic as my birthday present. So I got Logic a year after that, and then a year after I started using Logic, that's when I met my production mentor who taught me for 3 years before I entered college. And now I've had I've been having two different production mentors throughout this academic year. So yeah. What was I talking about again? Okay. So I'm sorry. When I ramble on, I always forget what the main point was, and I have to be like, where did this start? I remember now, so you must be patient with me when I forget what I'm talking about. So, during those first 2 years, I literally taught myself using YouTube videos and how to write. I would search up like how to produce in GarageBand, how to produce in Logic Pro, how to make vocals clean, how to use MIDI, and I taught all the basics to myself through watching YouTube videos. And I was like, thank God I live in a modern age, because YouTube is great. Like, you can learn a scary amount of stuff on YouTube. It's just it's honestly kind of concerning on how much stuff you can learn on YouTube. So, but yeah, I learned a lot of the basics on how to produce on YouTube. I also attempted, emphasis on the word attempted, to read books. The reason reading books has never worked for me is because I am not a book reader. I always try, but I never am able to finish the book. I just think they're too boring. I prefer to like watch people talk about it. I guess it's more of like a learning style. My learning style is not reading. My learning style is a combination of listening and watching. So it's being able to like try out myself is also something that helps a lot. But reading is definitely a big no for me. Like, I can't with reading long passages. Like, I will not understand most of it if I read. So yeah, I spent 2 years just learning by myself, and I guess it's just a story. Like, it's a story that I don't tell people a lot, and I hate it, especially people who are not like producers as well. Would be like, you have it so easy. You get to go to art school. You have parents who support you. Like, no, I had 7 hours of school, and then I had additional homework, which is probably like, I don't know how many hours of homework I had, but I took the IB, and we all know how many hours the IB takes. And on top of that, I still had to produce and release music, and especially during those early days, I was releasing a decent amount of music. I was releasing like 3 songs per year, which might not sound that much, but keep in mind, I was a one-man band. I was writing this myself, I was producing it myself, recording it myself, and I think 2 songs per year is a pretty decent number, especially compared to now, because like I'm barely releasing anything. It's mostly because of like visa restrictions, which is terrible, but I'm living with it. Hopefully I'd be able to release an album this year. I'm like really working really hard for that, so I hope that works out. And yeah, that's how I started. But inspiration wise, I have a lot of inspiration, but the main inspiration where I'm like, I wanna be a musician because of them, I would always say BTS. It's so like, I'm kind of not really embarrassed, but every time I say like, oh, I'm in music because of BTS, I kind of feel I'm kind of scared that people would make fun of me, but it's a fact. Like, when I listened to BTS, it was in a time where I was so confused on what I wanted to do, because everyone around me had a path in mind, and I was the only one who was like floating around with no idea what I was gonna do. So I was like really stressed, and that's when I started learning to be like listening to BTS as well, and I loved their stuff. I specifically loved Suga. Because Suga was the one that was like, he was like the producer that what's the word? Like okay, it's so weird because my original bias when I started listening to BTS was RM, but then after they disbanded, well, not disbanded, more like break, but really, I don't know. Honestly, at this point, I don't know if they're disbanded or on just a very weird long break. But anyways, like after they all went to military and stuff, and BTS is on a break, and the members are doing all solo stuff, I started listening heavily to August D or Suga stuff, and that's when I was like, actually no, my bias is Suga, so now my current bias is Suga. But honestly, when I think about it, originally when I was like, I'm gonna start producing, I'm producing because of this person. It wasn't because of RM. It's always been because of Suga. Cause I read his story. I'm pretty sure it's story. I might be just telling stupid stories that are probably not true. But as I remember correctly, he started out as a producer. He applied to a Bang PD as a producer, but then he was bamboozled into joining BTS as a dancer and rapper. But his dream had always been to become a producer, and that's when I started thinking about like, oh, maybe, like why not? So that's when it really started. But when it comes to um would I call it passion? Not really, but more of like a style, a style that I like to go for, like a style that I aim for. It was Weird Genius, especially the song Lati, but I don't remember what year it was released on. I think it was like, I remember it's like around pandemic, so it should be like 2019, 2020-ish. It might be even 2021, but it's between those 3 years, which is a pretty big range if you think about it. But Weird Genius released the song Lati, which is essentially an EDM song that mixes Javanese elements such as gamelan. I think they also had like traditional dance and they used Javanese as well during the drop. I was like so blown away. I had chills when I first listened to that song. It's still my favorite song ever. Every time I need a little mood booster, I'm putting on Lati. That's the song I'm putting on. It's literally my favorite song, and my favorite producer is Eka Gusiwana. He's one of the members of Weird Genius. He's just such a cool guy, and he's so humble. I respect that man. Like, and he also has a Discord forum that I'm in with, and I'm also not active in as well. But early on, I think it was actually pretty early on when I joined that Discord server. They have a lot of useful stuff. Like they would have like a space where you can show your work and people could give you feedback, and there's also like a promotion section where you could promote your released music and people who are interested could listen to it. It's just such a cool like server, and he's a cool guy. He's a genuinely cool guy. I would really love to meet him one day. And as well, another, it's not really an inspiration but more of like a motivation of I'm gonna be there one day, I'm gonna be there, is honestly 88 Rising, specifically the people in 88 Rising, like during the whole Shang-Chi thing. Rich Brian, Nikki, and Warren Hugh. I respect them so much, especially as like I'm just a little Indonesian teenage girl living in Jakarta, just like producing. I just started producing my own stuff, and I'm worried like what if people don't like what I'm putting out. And then I saw these icons, or at least icons in my eyes, Rich Brian, Nikki, Warren Hugh performing in Coachella and just being ambassadors for Indonesia. I'm like, I'll be good. I'm gonna make it one day. I'm gonna be there standing next to them, and one day other Indonesian kids would just be like me and be looking at me and be like, I'm gonna be like her one day. So I guess that's my dream. My dream is just to be to be like a motivation for other people, to make them realize that one day they can make it. And oh my god, we started from why this podcast is a thing, to how did I start writing music, to me talking about my aspirations. Nice. It's nice. Well, I think I might just end it here. I was hoping I could reach a 1 hour mark, but I think 1 hour might be too long, both for me and for you. So I'll just end it here on the 30-ish minute mark. I think it's a pretty decent length. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed listening to me just rambling about stuff. Hopefully I would be releasing another podcast in 2 weeks, in episode 2. If you have suggestions for topics that you want me to talk about, you can send them to me through email. I'll list my email somewhere, and you can just shoot me an email and be like, hey, can you talk about this? Or maybe you have questions about musical, questions about CalArts. I would love to talk about CalArts as well. It's an interesting school, honestly. But yes, I will definitely be posting shorts on TikTok. Only TikTok, probably not Instagram. I don't know. I'll see how it goes, but I'll just keep rambling if I don't press that end button. But I'll see you on the next episode, guys. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and ta-da!